Hello, friends. This is Dave Hurwitz, executive editor of ClassicsToday.com, here with the next in our series of miniature masterpieces. And this is a real bonanza of miniature masterpieces. I think the greatest collection of miniature masterpieces written in the entire 19th century. I am referring to the fabulous Alkan. Charles Valentin Alkan, or Alkan as we like to call him here in the good old US of A, because it rhymes with Calcan, the dog food. Remember that? Anyway, Alkan was the most astonishing pianist, one of the three most astonishing pianists probably of his generation, the others being of course Chopin and Liszt. Apparently he was so virtuosic he even made Liszt nervous when he heard him, and he wrote almost entirely piano music and extraordinary piano music, which we've talked about a little bit so far, but we have to really explore it in greater depth because it is amazing stuff. And one of his collection of works, actually it came in 4 suites, but it doesn't matter, are his Esquisses, his sketches, Opus 63. This consists of 49 little teeny miniatures. And I mean little teeny miniatures. These are character pieces in the style of, for example, the great French Baroque composers like Couperin, who wrote keyboard works with fanciful titles. And the titles of these pieces are just wonderful, absolutely wonderful. I mean, we get pseudo-naivete. I mean, if you want to know what that sounds like, some of them are barcarolles or nocturnes or little, musical titles for things, little fugues, little things like that. Others, like I said, have these fanciful titles, soupir, sighs, sighs. And there's, just millions of these things. There's 49 of them, almost all of them 2 minutes or less. And so I have put together a suite of 5 of them to play you, because you just have to hear a bunch of them. They are so much fun. Let's see. This is from the fabulous Brilliant Classics 14-disc Alkan box, which everybody should own. It has some wonderful, wonderful performances in it, and it's a great way to get a big pile of fabulous romantic piano music by a composer who is as good as completely unknown until a few decades ago. He was brought to our attention by the British pianist and Alkan scholar Ronald Smith, who really made some fabulous recordings of his music. He's most famous for his etudes in all of the minor keys. The etudes consisting of, among other things, 3 of them grouped together and form a symphony for piano solo, or 4 of them, pardon me, and then 3 of them grouped together and form a concerto for piano solo, which was the piece that launched the career of Marc-André Hamelin. I mean, it's just great stuff. Unbelievably virtuosic and tremendous fun. Tremendous fun, full of imagination and daring and conceptual novelty. And that's the good part. So let's just get to it. I'm going to play you a whole bunch of these suckers. And let's see, what's the first one we're going to do? The bells. Les cloches. Let's listen to the bells, shall we? This is Laurent Martin, piano. And again, this is on Brilliant Classics. These are very, very fine. These performances were actually licensed from Naxos. They were on Marco Polo originally. So they're out there, and you should be able to find them without any problem, whether you want them singly or in the context of the Brilliant Classics box. Anyway, you get them. Get your Alkan. You need it. You really need it. Here are Les Cloches, the bells. You see, it's only a minute, but he packs a lot of expression into that single minute. That's the cool thing about Alkan. He was always able, even though he wrote huge works and great, big, expansive works, he was also able to write superbly crafted little miniatures. It's just wonderful. Now, what's the next one we're going to do here? Yes, this is really bizarre. This is the 15th in the series, and it's called Tutti of a Concerto in the Old Style. Yes, Tutti de Concerto dans le genre ancien. And it really is his view of the sort of Baroque introduction to a concerto. And I don't think it sounds ancien at all. It sounds very 19th century to me, but you get the sense. I mean, the sort of unison opening and the sturdy bass lines, and it does have that feel. So here is the Tutti de Concert, the concerto, whatever it is, the opening of the concerto in the old style. Curious, isn't it? Full of personality. Actually, Alkan's own musical personality was so strong that it's impossible for him to write entirely like anybody else. Although he did do some amazing things using other people's music, transcriptions of Beethoven, transcriptions of Mozart. He did the entire first movement of Beethoven's Third Piano Concerto for solo piano. Meaning, of course, the solo piano plays everything, including a wild cadenza, in which the opening of the third concerto is contrapuntally joined to the finale of Beethoven's Fifth Symphony. If you get a chance to hear that, you really ought to. It's just a knockout. Okay, so in the middle of this little 5-movement suite, we're going to have something called les enharmoniques, enharmonics. This is a purely musical study about enharmonics. Enharmonics are a quirk of notation because in the tempered scale, in our tempered scale, let me try and explain this in a simple way. Certain notes are the same as other notes. For example, C sharp and D flat are the same note. It's the little black key between the C and the D, and it can be a C sharp or it can be a D flat. Why this matters is that these notes, because they are equivalent, can actually have different harmonic meanings depending on what key you're in. They can assist you in modulating or moving from one key to the next. And by reading them differently, by reading a C sharp as a D flat, theoretically anyway, you can actually be in the key of something else when you're really in the key of the first thing. And this allows you to change or go to other chords, surprisingly, as Alkan shows us here. This is a wonderfully poetic piece, but very, very unstable in terms of harmony and very, very curiously haunting, I think you'll find. So here is the enharmonics of Alkan. See what I mean? It's kind of queasy but gentle at the same time. It's really a fascinating work. Next, we have a rather extraordinary character study called Inflexibility. And just what he's being inflexible about, I'm not exactly sure, but the music really does give you that sense of inflexibility. Here is, again, it's Laurent Martin on Brilliant Classics. I just love these pieces. And there are so many of them. I mean, it's unbelievable. 49 teeny little sketches, all with these fanciful titles that you can just take little batches of them and do whatever you want, or you can play them all the way through. They are so much fun. It's great road music too, by the way. It's great to hear them while you're driving. This kaleidoscope of short little pieces, all of which are quite ear-catching. They do keep you awake, I'll say that too. So here is Inflexibility. Finally, last but not least, Alkan was known as an extraordinary virtuoso, and much of his music is written to be played at insane tempos with fistfuls of notes flying all over the place. And it's only fitting that we conclude this little tiny survey with one of those pieces. This is his toccatina, a tiny little toccata. Now, a toccata in modern parlance, not in like Bach's day. In Bach's day, a toccata was a touch piece, toccare, to touch the keyboard, to play the keyboard. And it was a piece that was designed to show off the instrument, especially on an organ. You could have big, heavy, like the toccata and fugue in D minor, da-da-da, da-da-da, with those big pile-up chords. Bach would say you test out the lungs of the instrument, and then really fast, rapid passages, and then it would all come together in some sort of show of the performer's virtuosity, usually a fugue, something more formal to bring it together at the end. By the 19th century, the toccata was basically a fast piece in perpetual motion, and that's all it was, and that's what this is, a very fast piece in perpetual motion, but a tiny one, only a minute long. And this particular version is 1 minute and 8 seconds, actually a little bit less. So here is the toccatina. It's number 20 or 30 or 36. Yes, number 36 of the 49 Esquisses or sketches by Alkan, his Opus 63. Here you go. Now, isn't that just about as much fun as we have any right to expect from anybody? And what a pile of miniature masterpieces this represents. It's just fabulous. So get your Alkan, whether it's in this big Brilliant Classics box or whether you get these pieces separately. There's also a fabulous recording of these pieces on Hyperion, which is definitely worth seeking out. It's such good music and entertaining music. It's quality and quantity at the same time. 49 of the little suckers, miniature masterpieces, if ever there were some. So keep on listening, folks. Thanks for joining me. Take care.